The guest on today's show has a very unique story to share. He's not only a singer, songwriter, and performer, he also travels the world giving motivational speeches for transgender people and also promotes equality for all. His name is Ryan Cassata, and he's going to be sharing his story with us today. You don't want to miss this. Please stay with us. All right. Hi and welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. Please welcome Ryan Cassata to the show. Thank you, Ryan, so much for being here today, for sharing your story. Now, you do have a very unique story. I read about you in Pulse magazine, which is where we actually found you, and you not only traveled the world promoting equality for all, but you also speak about transgender issues because you're transgender yourself. Tell me, how long ago did you figure that out about yourself?
I realized I was transgender when I met a transgender person when I was about 14 years old. I didn't know that being transgender existed. I had no clue you could change your gender. So when I met this person, it was like a light bulb went off. And I always felt different my entire life. I just never could put a name to what I was feeling. So it was hard to express what I was feeling to my parents, to my friends.
Right. Now, how old would you say you were when you realized that there was something different about you, that you weren't quite sure what it was? Were you very young? Like, what age can you remember?
I think I could really only remember back till I was 6 or 7, and I remember feeling like a boy, and I asked my dad to sign me up for baseball, and he was like, you have to play softball, and you know, I fought him on that. I always cried when my parents put me in dresses, and I always rebelled against the way they were dressing me by wearing a backwards baseball cap from 7, 8 years old.
And what would they say to you? I mean, were they constantly trying to make you be this female role? And you know, how did you take it? What did they say to you?
I think they just didn't understand. Of course, I didn't tell them. So my dad would always say, you should put your hat on facing the front. Girls can't wear backwards hats, things like that. Mm-hmm. And I never really listened to anything like that. I always, you know, kept the backwards hat.
You always rebelled against?
Yeah.
So now, when you were in school, like let's say elementary school and going into high school, did other people, like your peers, pick up that there was also something different about it? Did they maybe mistake you for being gay or lesbian and pick on you or bully you for it?
In elementary school, I was fine. I went to a private elementary school. In middle school is when I started having problems with bullying. I always dressed very masculinely, and that was the first time I could dress myself, because in elementary school I had to wear a uniform the whole time. So 6th, 7th, and 8th grade were the first times that I could pick what I was wearing, and I constantly was made fun of for dressing in boys' clothes, liking the wrong sports teams, liking the wrong music.
What would people say to you?
I mean, it was like I was trying to dress like a girl, but just couldn't understand how, so it was like very awkward, and it was obvious that I was not a girl. And, you know, people tell me, you know, you don't look good, and people would harass me a lot about my sexuality because I came out as a lesbian before I came out as a transgender man, because I didn't know being transgender existed. So a lot on being a lesbian, they would just constantly ask me questions that were very inappropriate, and obviously there are questions that you just wouldn't ask anyone unless you were trying to harass people. So people harassed me on that, and you know, it was just, middle school is like a very hard time in general for anybody. So just being different, not knowing who I was, and
it's such a difficult age to begin with. So to have this, you know, carrying this around with you, I mean, and you didn't even have a name for it, like you said. You didn't know what it was, or if you were gay or lesbian, and you really had no role models to really look up to in this situation that you were in either, up until you were about 13 years old. So did you think maybe it was just a phase that you were going through, that maybe it's something you would have grown out of? Did you kind of consider all those options in your mind?
Yeah, I never really thought of anything being a phase. I always felt like I knew what I really wanted, even though I was, lost. But, I mean, I remember the first time I dressed in all boys' clothes and truly felt dysphoric about my body. And I was in 7th grade, and I just felt so good dressing as a boy. And I just realized, like, wow, something's different about me. And then when I met the transgender individual, it all clicked together, and then I finally understood myself.
You must have had so many questions for that person, I'm sure. So back in 6th grade, I mean, you did try to dress more feminine, you did try to dress more female-like. I mean, what was that like for you to kind of go against what you thought about yourself in a way?
Yeah, it was really hard. I felt a lot of pressure from the girls in my class because they were always nagging me about the way I was dressing. Almost every single day in middle school I wore a baseball jersey or a baseball shirt, which were obviously boys cut. And I mean, I wore girls' pants, but it was just very awkward,
Yeah, I can imagine. And then there was that time in 7th grade. Now, all this stuff I read about him in Pulse magazine prior to today, but there was a time in 7th grade when you were going to a National Honor Society, and your parents maybe forced you to wear this frilly dress, as it was referred to.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. Can you describe that? I mean, because it said frilly, and I'm trying to like picture it in my mind, but what do you remember about it?
Yeah, I think I really blocked what the dress looked like with my head. But I remember, I was going to this National Honor Society thing, and my mom like takes out this dress, and she's like, okay, you have to wear this. And I knew I would have to walk on stage and be in front of my whole school in a dress.
Oh my
goodness.
goodness.
It was just very embarrassing. And as soon as she put it on me, I just cried for hours.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I'm not doing it. And, I threw a fit. And she still made me go in the dress, but afterwards realized, like, she can't do that again. And it obviously made me very uncomfortable. I just remember feeling uncomfortable wearing the dress the whole time. I mean, there's a little party after the Honor Society induction that all the kids were going to, and I just skipped it completely. It was just way too awkward.
I mean, did your parents ever try to console you with this? Like when you were that upset about wearing this dress, were they not, sympathetic's not the word that I'm looking for, but like try to console you or try to maybe help you what you're going through? Did they suspect that there was something different about you prior to you telling them?
I really don't think they knew. I think they thought I was a tomboy. I mean, there was a lot of jokes while I was growing up. Like, my dad would joke around and say, my 3 sons, because I have 2 brothers. And that was before I came out, so it's like,
Yeah.
But I guess my parents really just didn't know. I think they didn't even know that being transgender existed either.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are kind of blind to it, actually, because it's not very highly spoken of, and this is something that you do as well, which we'll get to in a little bit, but you go around the country promoting equality for all gay, lesbian, bisexual, and also transgender people. Now, I just want to rewind a little bit back when you were younger, where most girls were playing with dolls and playing house, maybe. You were actually not only playing sports, but you were already musical. You were picking up a guitar and playing a guitar.
Yeah.
Wow, so what was that like for you?
It was great. I think my brother was playing guitar, my older brother, and he just put it down. It was like a little phase he was going through, and I was just so attracted to it, and I wanted to play. And at 6 years old, I told my mom, I want to play guitar. And she was like, you're too small to play guitar, you can't hold a guitar. And they got me guitar lessons after months of begging, and the guitar teacher made me this little guitar.
How
and
nice.
That's how I learned. And
awesome.
I just kept with it, and it was really something I fell into immediately and just automatically loved.
So when did you come out to your parents? And first let me ask you, did you come out to your parents as lesbian or as transgender?
I first came out to my parents as a lesbian, and then about a year and a half later I came out as transgender.
And how did they take it?
When I came out to my mom as a lesbian, she was completely fine with it, and then when I came out to my mom as transgender, she didn't take it so well. She told me there was nothing I could do about it, put it on the back burner, things like that. She didn't want me to transition. And now, years later, I know that she was just afraid for me to transition because she knows there's, a lot of hardships that come with it, and it's not going to be an easy life.
Right. Interesting. So when you met this transgender individual and finally had a name for what you actually were, did that provide like a closure for you? Like what was it like to meet this person that is almost exactly like you?
Everything just clicked because I really did not know that being transgender existed at all. So it felt good. You know, I realized that right then and there, this is what I want to do. I want to transition and I could be happy.
Do you still keep in touch with this person?
A little bit.
Yeah. I can only imagine your first time meeting them, what it was like for you. I mean, you must have just spent hours talking and asking questions to that person. So yeah, I can honestly say it probably did provide you a little bit of closure.
Definitely.
So now we're here in 2012. You did actually have top surgery as transgender. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, top surgery is a double mastectomy, and I got that in January. So my chest now looks completely male. I have 2 incisions that will eventually fade in a couple of years. And I went all the way to San Francisco to get the surgery with Dr. Brownstein. He's the top doctor. So I went to get it with him and came out really well.
Excellent.
I have to say. And I mean, the first time I looked in the mirror after it, I just felt normal for the first time in my life.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, like, what was that like to look in the mirror and finally be the person that you always knew that you were?
Yeah, a lot of guys told me, like, you know, when you look in the mirror the first time, you might faint or something because it's going to be such a dramatic change. But walking around in my everyday life, before surgery, I always pictured my body completely male. So when I saw myself in the mirror with no shirt on and with a male's chest, it just felt normal.
Right. It must have been such like a closure for you almost. And you actually fought tooth and nail to have, now Ryan Cassata is not your born name. This is your new legal name. So you actually fought tooth and nail with your school to get it printed in your high school yearbook. What was that like? I mean, tell us a little bit about the process.
Yeah, that was a crazy battle. In the beginning of the year, the yearbook coordinator told me that my name would definitely be in the yearbook as Ryan, not as my birth name, whether it was legally changed or not. So the whole year I figured, you know, it's going to be in the yearbook as Ryan. I won't worry about it. And then the yearbook's about to come out in 4 weeks, and my name's going to be legally changed in 2.5 weeks. It's already going through the courts.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I better make sure the school's aware, better make sure my name's going to be in as Ryan. And I asked him, and he said, no, it's not going to be in as Ryan. We already printed the yearbooks.
Oh, my gosh.
And then they're like, well, you can put a sticker over every time your birth name is in there that says Ryan. And I was like, no, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, do you know how many yearbooks are actually being printed?
Yeah. And I fought really hard. I had a petition going. I had a really big petition going on Facebook with schools all across Long Island. And everyone was supporting me. And then finally my principal called my house one day and said, you won. The production of the yearbook has been halted, and they reprinted 2,000 yearbooks. Oh,
wow. So that is quite an accomplishment. Yes. Yeah. Excellent. Good for you.
Thank you.
So you've overcome, I mean, that's just one of the struggles. I mean, how many other major struggles have you had to overcome in your life to be who you are today?
A lot of the things were at school, but also at home. It was very hard to convince my parents to allow me to have top surgery. And it was something I've been trying to convince them since I was 16 years old, and not having top surgery was leading me into a depression, and my mother recognized it immediately, and from the start she wanted me to have top surgery, and my dad really didn't recognize it, and
it took him some time to get used to it.
It took him a lot of time, and finally, you know, both my parents were on board, and they took me out to California, and I got the surgery, and now my dad is really supportive.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good for you. I mean, I do want to ask you, because there is so much teen bullying that's going on today between gay, lesbian, bisexual people, transgender. A couple of weeks ago, we met a very lovely young lady here, Jamie Isaacs, who was a victim of severe bullying. How did you handle that when you were in school? People picking on you and bullying you. How did you handle it? Because obviously you were strong enough to pull through. I mean, for some, the pain is so intolerable that they feel they have no other choice but to take their lives. And we just heard of a couple of stories not that long ago. So how did you handle it?
Yeah, for me, consuming myself into something else was what, you know, kept my mind positive. So playing guitar, writing songs, I fell so in love with that. I was so completely obsessed with the Red Sox when I was in middle school, like really fanatically obsessed. And
So I imagine you've been to a lot of their games.
yeah.
I have too, and I'm not even a sports person. I mean, who hasn't?
Yeah, so I mean, just that alone and just being so into those things really helped me, you know, stay positive because I had something great to look forward to.
Right, exactly. So I'd like to talk a little bit about your music now. We mentioned earlier you started playing guitar at a very young age, about 6 or 7. What turned you into music? What turned the light on for you?
Yeah, when I was in 6th grade, I had a guitar teacher, and my mom set me up with him, and he was teaching me guitar, and he was like the coolest person I ever met, and he really inspired me. I wanted to like be exactly like him, and you know, he would ask me, "Is guitar your passion or just your hobby?" And he's the person who showed me all the classic rock bands and got me into really good music. And 6 months after having guitar lessons with him and meeting him, he passed away. And after that, it was like, you know, I want to keep playing music. I got to keep going. It was something that really affected me a lot because he was my hero.
So would you say that you really went on in support of him or in memory of him?
Yeah, and now it just turned into something that I truly love, and it's my passion.
I can tell. I mean, I've been to one of your concerts a couple of weeks ago when you were playing the Break the Silence concert in Rocky Point. Now, you write your own music, is that right? What motivates you or what inspires you to write about the songs that you write?
Yeah, all of my songs are based on real life, and I write a lot of them about love. Right now I'm in a relationship, so most of my songs are happy now, which is cool. And I also write a lot about politics and things that are going on in the world. It's just a way to show people that, you know, we need equality now.
Absolutely. For everybody, transgender, gay, lesbian, bisexual, all of it. So tell us about some of your recent tours, because you also travel the country promoting equality for all and also transgender issues.
Yeah, I just did a speaking tour, and I did a lot of high schools and colleges in New Jersey, as well as some other groups. And that was really fun. I got to do a really big assembly at Brick High School in New Jersey. So that was like to 1,500 people. And that was like, you know, the whole school. So
wow.
Now, you know, I walk away from that knowing that that school is no longer ignorant. That entire school is no longer ignorant. So it's like, it's just really powerful and cool to know that I did something like that.
Absolutely. What do you think is your biggest audience you've ever had? How many people could you guesstimate?
I think that was the biggest.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what do you have planned for the future months? Because I understand you're also going on another tour coming up. Is that also a speaking tour or is that a music tour?
Mostly music. It's festival season is starting, so I'm doing a lot of the Pride festivals. I'm actually doing San Francisco Pride, which is like to 1 million people.
Wow.
So that's going to be really cool. And I get to speak at that one as well. And I'm doing Long Island's Pride, Hudson Valley Pride, and then I'm doing the Great South Bay Music Festival and also the Montauk Music Festival.
Excellent. Yeah, the Montauk one that I saw, we'll definitely come and check that out for you. Now, reading the Pulse magazine article, you've worked with some really big names. You've worked with LeAnn Rimes, right? Chris Clocker and Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, these were people that played Milwaukee Pride. So that Milwaukee Pride is like one of the biggest Pride festivals in the world. So
tell us about that.
Yeah. I got to talk to Chris for a little bit online before the festival. I actually never got to see him at the festival.
Oh, really?
Just so crazy. But he's a cool guy, and that was fun. Like, Milwaukee Pride's really fun. You get to meet a lot of people, and of course bring in a whole new fan base because you're in a different state, and there's like a built-in audience because everyone goes to Pride.
Right.
But things like that, you know, they're really fun. And, you know, I enjoy opening for other bands and doing that thing. You know, a show's a show I love to play.
Excellent.
I get the chance.
Great. Well, you're actually going to perform some of your songs for us today.
Yes. Cool.
Excellent. So maybe is what we'll do. We'll take a quick break here. We come back. We're going to have you set up. You're going to perform some songs for us, and maybe you could tell us a little bit about them, like what went into writing them and performing them.
Cool.
Great.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Excellent. Today, our guest. He is a singer, songwriter, and transgender activist. He is now going to perform some of his hits for us right here. Ryan, what are we going to hear first?
The rhythm?
The rhythm. All right. And tell us about it. Was there any little emotion that went into writing that song? Went into that?
Yeah, this song is about being on tour, and I wrote it while I was in San Francisco.
Excellent. Well, take it away. The stage is yours. Excellent, Ryan. Thank you so much. First of all, we're just about going to run out of time, but we're going to have you play us out. We're going to roll our credits while you perform your last song for us, and I understand it's about bullying.
Yes. So this song is called Hands of Hate, and I wrote it about the gay suicides because of bullying.
Excellent.
And it's about the hate crimes and everything. So this song is why it's important not to bully other people.
Great.
And it's called Hands of Hate.
Excellent. Well, Ryan, let me just thank you in case we run out of time. I want to thank you for everything you do and going around the country and promoting equality for all. Thank you so much. Be sure to visit Ryan's website. Visit our website as well for more information, and we'll see you next time. Thank you for watching. Take it away, Ryan. Stage is yours.
Oh, Mrs. Shepherd, I heard about your song.